Throwback Throwdown Thursday has come and gone. It dropped, I've seen it, and I'm reviewing it. And as you can see from the title, I'm not going to hide my disappointment because I was disappointed. Now, I'm going to go through the show first and tell you what was good about it. And I'm going to make this very clear to people who have never seen either me, hiya, if they just came onto my video and said, what is this Throwback Throwdown thing? I think I'll check, what the hell is this all about? What are these images? Well, if you've never seen Impact Wrestling, once a year at least, they did skip 1 year. They put on not an ordinary Impact Wrestling show. They put on a throwback show. A show that's based in the 80s and 90s style of pro wrestling before the Attitude Era. Somewhere around the golden age of wrestling. Just before Vincent Kennedy McMahon appeared on the scene. He was just known as Vince McMahon, the owner. Before Mr. McMahon, you're fired. Kiss my ass. And pulls down his pants and expects you to take a little juicy of that ass. And I do see an ass that was on the show that I want to say, I love you, please be my woman. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. But this is the entire premise. It is not an ordinary Impact show. There's no storylines other than what they put on for that day. We do not see the previous episode in its entirety. That doesn't happen. Unless it's something they put on as like a BTI thing. But you'll probably have to be a members only to see it. Because I've already checked. There's nothing there, at least right now. Unless they upload it when this is done. There's nothing there. But for anyone that sees this and they wonder, I want to see more of this. Well, you can't. Unless they put on a second show, which will not usually happen. You'll have to wait until next year. So let's get into the show. We had some of the recurring characters have returned to the show. And a few new ones. The first... if I'm right, the participants of the first match, of course, it is rapid delivery. I think the reason I'm laughing here at Rick Swann is this is now, the third time he's done Rapid Delivery Pete. He always does this. He delivers pizza. He comes into the ring and he does his business. But we got Kamikaze, who looked like Delirious. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, because there are two wrestlers in Impact that work barefooted. It is Speedball Mike Bailey, and it's Delirious. As far as I know, this had to be Delirious. I think it truly was. It didn't look like Speedball. Speedball is not a muscled out guy. He's just not. He's an average build guy, but he works great in the ring. But Delirious, you can see from the gun. I don't got no guns. I got no guns. Let's be honest. I'm 52 and I barely exercise because of my injury and have issues. I can't get the guns like I would like. But when it comes to Delirious, he still looks like he's very well chiseled. He's the type of person that would work that type of style barefoot. So it looked like Delirious. In this match, I expected nothing. There was no way of knowing who was going to win, who's going to lose. This is a one-time thing once a year. There's no way you're going to Well, if you're in the mood, you can say easy, it's got to be Delivery Pete. It's got to be Rapid Delivery Pete because he's always a fan favorite. They cheer for him. And as a commentary team, and again, we got Josh Matthews, Skillione Jr., and that is Josh Matthews, with the thick-ass mustache, and I believe I got it in my face, is next to IQ, which is Alex Shelley. And supposedly he is one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of that era of the Impact Provincial Wrestling Federation. So they tried to put over Kamikaze. They tried to put over Rapid Delivery Pete. That's their job. And as much as many people couldn't stand a Josh Matthews, let's be honest. They couldn't stand him. That's the reason why Matthew Rinwald's there. That's the reason why Tom is there. At one point we had Matt Stryker and we had Devon. People got tired of him. And next to that, he does work in the back. So once in a while he comes out, once a year, it's not hurting anything. In the end, it was Rapid Delivery Pete. And weirdly enough, Rapid Delivery Pete got a little upset later in a promo, which I'll talk about in a minute. The next match, and this is an interesting one. We got Chestnut and Neptune versus technically it was just Neptune going against Frank the Butcher, who is Rhino. But they were both tied to the hip because supposedly the rival company that Chestnut ran, and that was, I always forget the ring announcer's name. He's playing its role again because he's done this at least twice already. I think once or twice already. The key is that the Impact Provincial Wrestling Federation had a rival company. That rival company was run by Chestnut. It got driven out of business, and Chestnut blamed Scaglione Sr. I believe I'm saying his name wrong. I always forget what Scott D'Amore's character is. Is Scaglione Sr. or something? I can't remember. I'm just going by that. I'm sorry. You can watch the episode yourself. You'll see it. You'll understand it. But technically speaking, he blames Scaglione Sr. for losing his company. So now he's come to Scaglione and pretty much demanded a match. And that match is to see if he can get a job. If he loses, I think he does still get a job, but it's a certain job. I don't know. It was kind of confusing at one point. But the match was just between Frank the Butcher and Neptune, who is our Muhammad Shira holding a toy trident like well, I have to be honest here. If you look at Muhammad Shira compared to Jason Momoa, I could see him becoming, if he cuts himself a little bit more to get more abs, more defined, he can play an Aquaman. The accent would be a problem, but if he goes to Bollywood and does their version of the Justice League, I could buy it. I'm telling you right now, I could buy a Muhammad Shira getting in good shape, really cutting the water, making himself like all muscled, and he could be pretty much an Indian version of Aquaman. He could. He got enough hair for it. More than me. I don't have that much hair in my damn head. And what did we get? We got Butcher winning. And guess what we got? We got Chestnut and pretty much a Neptune becoming janitors. Here's the thing that makes it stupid. Hearing Scaglione Jr., that is Josh Matthews, not Alexander. I'm sorry. I'm going to get things mixed up. Remember, this is once a year. I can't remember everybody's name. And it's hard. I'm sorry, guys. It's not like I look at Throwback Throwdown episodes. I don't. But you have to table, and I'm saying this for people who've never heard this, never seen this, and are considering watching Throwback Throwdown. Number 4, it's not number 1, 2, and 3, it's number 4. You have to put your normal hat that you are as a pro wrestling fan, you take that bitch off. You gotta take it off. And literally just say, yeah, they're playing a joke. This is pantomime. This is playing off the WWF. That's what that is. Just take your mind out of it. Just sit back and look how silly it is. That's what you're getting here. Next match, which I still don't know who the paperboy is, and that is Sunday Morning News. And that's with a Chris Sabin, the paperboy. I always forget the guy's name, his real name. And the reoccurring, the hard workers, which is Diener and which is Jake something. And seeing Diener going, I think I got a shot of it in my face. He's in the ring, and he is literally doing robot. Yeah, do it. This is why I say, when you're a wrestling fan, when you watch this type of episode, I have no idea what Chi-Town Smart, Jesse, who works with JD on Off the Script, is going to think of this. This will probably be the first time he's seen this type of thing if he reviews it, which he probably has been reviewing it right now. He's got a live stream right now. He probably is watching it if he isn't sick or anything, because he was sick for a couple of weeks, kind of like I was, but not the same thing, something else. I think it was due to his disease. He has a certain disease that there's a problem with him. And I do hope he'll be all right. And if they cure it, I'll be so happy for him. But I have no idea what Jesse's going to think of this. So for me personally, this is the third one I've reviewed. No, the fourth one I've reviewed. I reviewed all four of them. So this is the fourth one. I have no idea what it's going to be. But for someone who's seen the work hard, the hard workers, and Dina going like this, you're going to say, what the fuck am I watching? If you still have that, and I'm doing it again, this is your wrestling fan hat. Take that bitch off. Put it down here. You must do that so you do not get so biased saying what the fuck is wrong with them. They're supposed to go back to TNA. Why are they doing this? Be calm. Next, and it was Sunday Morning News that won. It was due to cheating. But I'm not going to tell you that was a bad match. It was funny. Most of the time they did a lot of antics. There was dancing in the ring. The editor, who is Chris Sabin, he was being thrown all over the place. At one point, I believe it was Dina, he grabbed a newspaper out of his pocket, put it in Dina's face while he and the paperboy was holding him and said, look at the paper. Look at it. They were doing props during the night. They were doing a lot of crazy stuff. That's the way it went. Now, let's get to the tag match. This is where it gets interesting. The tag match of Rusty Iron, and that is Gia Miller. Gia Miller, I believe her last name is Miller. And a Razor. I forgot what his first name is. What did I put? Red Razor, I believe. And that is was it? Yeah, it was a Ace Austin. Now, you guys can tell me below. As far as I know, Ace and Gia are actually dating. I think in real life they're actually dating. I don't know. As far as I know. Because this is now not the first time they've done their roles together. This is not the second. This is not the third. This is now the fourth time these two have worked together where Rusty Iron, Gia, has worked as the girlfriend for Ace Austin. Where he's had, at one point, a very first episode, he actually had a cigarette in his mouth and he was smoking. After that, they stopped doing that. It's a fake cigarette that he has. So, in this situation, I wonder if they're actually dating because he always kisses her. They don't normally do that, guys. They don't normally kiss one another in wrestling unless you actually have a relationship or the story really calls for it. And not every wrestler, male and female, is comfortable with that. But in some cases, they don't have a problem with it. Now, for the other side, we had Jordan Grace as Georgia Cobb. Yeah, Georgia Cobb. And we had Cowboy Colt McLean. And that was I don't know why he picked that name. I don't know why Eddie Edwards picked the Cowboy Colt. But he gets in character just like a Jordan Grace. But here's where it gets a little interesting. A few things happened during this match. One, I don't know if I got a shot of it, but look at that thickness. I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm not trying to be over horny. But when you look at Gia's ass, damn, that's thick. I don't remember her being that thick, but it has been a while since I last seen this and actually seen Gia lower half. Remember, when it comes to Gia, we don't usually see her from waist down often. It's very rare that they'll show her looking below. And usually she wears dresses and sometimes she may wear pants. We don't always see her. But when you saw her in that ring, and she wrestles, let's make this clear before I go any further. The match was solid. It was a fine match. It was not a bad match. It was a mixed tag. They literally, both sexes were going at one another. You had pretty much a Ace Austin nailing a Jordan Grace, Georgia Cobb. Sorry, my mistake. You got Red Razor going against Georgia Cobb. And also you had a Rusty Iron going against Cowboy. I'm not telling you they didn't do a good job. They actually did a fine job. I was fine with it. The match was not bad. Hearing a Rusty rusty iron screaming as she's being twirled around by Georgia Cobb was funny. But let's make it thick. I'm saying thick. That's some ass she got on her. She's a good wrestler, though. Taking away to how much thickness, ow, hurt myself. Thickness you get to see. She is a solid wrestler. She can wrestle. And I kind of wonder, why isn't she wrestling? Why doesn't she get in the ring more often in regular Impact Zone Wrestling or Impact Wrestling turned to TNA? Maybe she will after this year starts. Because honestly, I don't know why she shouldn't wrestle. She should be able to wrestle. She does a good job unless she has some type of physical condition. Let's make this clear. She might have some type of physical condition where she just can't wrestle every time. But once in a while, one-off, once a year, she can get away with it. I can understand it. But if there's nothing wrong with her, she should wrestle. I don't understand why she shouldn't if she's physically okay. And then there's another thing that I saw in this match. You guys tell me below, when you watch the match for yourself, I don't know if they can do clips, so you may have to watch it. But when you see it, and, well, when it comes to Georgia Cobb with Jordynne Grace, tell me if I'm wrong, if her breasts look bigger. Look, let's make this clear, and I'm not against Jordynne. I want to make this clear. I've talked about Jordynne Grace. I'm actually proud of Jordynne Grace that she wanted to make herself more substantial, make herself mean something. She already got weightlifting championships and records under her belt. No problem. She's gone into bodybuilding, and she wanted to prove that she could do it. No problem. But one of the things that has been noticed when it comes to Jordynne Grace, she cut way too much water, and there is a suspicion that she has done some type of, well, not anabolic steroids, but some type of genetic enhancements. They are doing genetic enhancements these days that are not so rough on the body, and they are still having some that are. And many people wonder because of one of the main factors, her titties shrank. If you see, I may even have a shot of her. I think I got the image. I'll put it in my face of what she looked like before she started really cutting and making herself as ripped as a guy. You'll see those titties of hers are full-figured breasts. No one said she was a small-chested girl. She was not. In fact, I think she was better the way she was. Because I think you don't need to be so anatomically correct, muscle-wise, to be a beautiful woman. To be an athletic woman. To be capable of doing things no different than a man. You can have some abs just like a man, but just like men, they can go too far when it comes to bodybuilding and reshaping their bodies. Women, the same thing. I take nothing away from either sex, but sometimes there's a limit to how far you go. Not that it's culture-wise, but when it comes genetically, sometimes you can't go too far with it. So far to the point, still got upset, still have problems with my stomach. It's been messing with me. I've been getting upset stomach still. But seeing that sometimes they can go too far with it is not one of the things you really want to see for people. No one's telling you not to get the best out of yourself. But sometimes you can go beyond the limit and it's not always healthy. Mentally, it's not always healthy. Physically, it's not always healthy. Culturally, in this situation where men and women define themselves by how their beauty is and their physical appearance, sometimes you can go far, sometimes too far, for both sexes. So sometimes it's necessary to understand how far to go and then to stay there. And Jordynne, when you look at her, in that setting, she looked like she got breast implants. It looks like her breasts are bigger, unless it's just how the top has been tied up on top of her. I'm just saying. All right. Let's talk about the other things that happened on here that went backstage. We got a segment where a Tommy Dreamer, Tommy in the 80s and 90s was still very young, in his early 20s. And seeing that a Red Razor, who pulled a knife outside in the ring, I forgot to say something about that, and got his ass whooped by a Jordynne Grace. They were talking with Tommy saying, cut your hair, do something about it. You're never going to get anywhere. And that's Tommy Dreamer being considered a 20-something-year-old in the early 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And what is her name? What was it? Red Post? What was it? What was her name? And that was Jodie Threat. Jodie Threat was Red Letter. There you go. Jodie Threat, supposedly they did in a previous episode. And this is one thing I did like, even though I was upset about it. I liked that they showed a previous episode of the IPWF. But the problem is, we couldn't see that episode of IPWF. Well, at least not yet. Not unless they do a countdown to the IPWF. Because I think they did that for Throwback Throwdown 3. I didn't get a chance to see it. It was on BTI. I forgot all about it. And I looked, and I didn't see anything before this episode came on. So, unless it's members only, you won't be able to see it, at least until they decide to release it for anyone to watch on YouTube. But Red Letter, Jodie Threat, had a match. She won her match and started throwing letters at everybody in the ring, outside the ring. But she had a segment, and she talked about, like I said earlier, when it came to a rapid delivery Pete, Averick Swan, that she's thinking about, because she won so quickly, she wants to become Rapid Red Letter. And when it came down to Pete, he came out and said, that's my stick. You can't take that. Who do you think you are? And then he walks away. That was interesting. I liked it. But the problem was I couldn't see the previous episode. I'm kind of hoping they will do another episode before Final Resolution, but we will not get that, guys. I doubt it. They normally don't do back-to-back IPWF episodes. It's usually one episode a year. And maybe they'll do a countdown episode. But normally they don't. So we'll have to wait and see. Another one. And this kind of adds in with Red Letter. When it comes to Tommy and Red Letter, like I said earlier when I was talking about Tommy being a 20-year-old guy, he felt abused by the locker room and the veterans, and Red Letter agreed. So he said, I'm going to get back at them. So you know what that little son of a bitch did? That son of a bitch took a shit in someone's duffel bag. That is what they implied. That he wanted to get back at the veterans that were treating him bad in the IPWF. So guess what? He decided to take into a duffel bag. And I don't remember which one of the veterans was pissing him off. But he was holding the bag with Red Letter. And she said, well, you're going to get him back? Oh, I've got it right in here. And she smelled it and said, oh my gosh, it's you. And he said, yeah, they're going to get it. And then who was it? Who was it? I forgot who it was. I believe it was Brian Myers. I don't know what character he was playing. But then you had a Shelton, Shelton Jean? I think it was a Shelton Jean. Both of them were there. But it looked like they were kind of playing themselves, but they just have different names. But he was confused because Red Letter told him about the duffel bag of the one that he didn't like and said that's the one. And he grabbed it, took a dump in it, and was ready to put it back. But in fact, it was the wrong bag. It was Brian Myers, well, whoever he was playing. He grabs it from Tommy, zip. He smelled that mess. He dropped it to the floor. He walks away, comes back, and Shelton Jean's character, whoever he was, basically got thrown up on. And Scaglielli Sr. is saying, what's going on? What's up, smell? What's going on? He said, what is that all over you? And that's Shelton Jean. Jean's character, he said, he threw up on me. So he calls for Chestnut and Neptune to come clean up. He said, do your job. Come and clean up this damn mess. Oh my God. You don't have that type of slapstick anymore. Now, I know I'm missing something. If I am, I'm sorry. Let's make this clear. Final match is connected to a segment. And that is Moose's character. And that is DJ Too Large. I'm going to say that again for the new people. I believe I got a picture of him. He's in my face. This is DJ Too Large from the 1980s, based on Run DMC. See the hat. And he loved to do, when they start singing his name, go too large, go. He's going like this. I was waiting for that. You have no idea how long I've been waiting to do that in this video. I was thinking, I'm going to get to it. I got to go through this first. I got to get to it. Go too large, go. I'm sorry. It's based on Rum DMC, and it's based on the Ninja Rock. If you saw Ninja Turtles 2, of the Ooze, I can't remember the name of it. Attack of the Ooze, I believe. I can't remember the name of Ninja Turtles 2 from the 90s with Vanilla Ice in it. That is what this is based on. If you don't know, go look for yourself. You can go look for Ninja Turtles 2 from the 90s, and you will see it was not a great movie, but the music was pretty good. Vanilla Ice was there. Go Ninjas, go is where Too Large came in, and that's what you got. Now, while this was going on, he now has, what was the name of the title? The International Commonwealth TV Championship. You know, that kind of rolls off the tongue. I kind of think, because when you see the title, because he did do a talk, the title doesn't look half bad. Wouldn't it be interesting? The TNA International Commonwealth TV Championship. You want me to say that again? We can shorten that. The TNA International Commonwealth Championship. We could get away with it. Yeah, I know they're doing a tournament in AEW. We know they're doing the Continental Classic, and they're doing the Continental Championship. We know that. They're going to do a Triple Crown Champion. But couldn't we do ourselves International Commonwealth Champion? It wouldn't hurt actually taking a title that we know that they may never use, but maybe once a year, and maybe that might be the last time we see it, and throw it on TNA TV. That might actually be something interesting. You can take out the Commonwealth. I would actually keep it in. If you got to take out the International, you could say the TNA Commonwealth Championship. That might actually not be a half bad thing. To have a new title next to the X Division and the World title, an intermediate title may actually be good. That can be defended on Impact Plus. Instead of the Digital Media Championship, you could retire that championship instead of making it into a game toy championship and do the Commonwealth Championship. I'm just saying, this is going off, but you get it. But Too Large is happy. He just won the title. In the previous episode, we didn't see it, but he did win the title. And he was proud. He got hurt, but he came back. And as he was talking, you love this, for those who are new here, they have a character based on the $1 Million Man. Yes, but he's not the $1 Million Man. He's not the $500,000 Man. He is now the $369,000 man. This is a character. I don't remember the guy who's doing it. I just always forget his name. I always forget. But he's reprising his role. And he's saying he wants that Commonwealth title. And Too Large says, no. I'll rap it to you. I'll rap you my answer. And he says, go Too Large, singing, everybody. And everyone sings. And he said, go Too Large is saying no. And he doesn't want to give it to him. So now he calls out the masked brother. As I've always said, stereotypes are always in pro wrestling. No matter if you like it or not. There's always Japanese wrestlers that are stereotyped, white wrestlers, black wrestlers, Asian wrestlers, Indian wrestlers. There are pretty much stereotypes. And the masked brother is a black man wearing a mask. Hits Moose in the back. They have a fight. And now the final match is pretty much, well, one of the final matches, because there's a second match after this. This one was for the title. This was Too Large versus the masked brother for the International Commonwealth TV Championship. I would rather have it as the Commonwealth TV Championship for TNA. But it was a funny match because you see Moose was literally having fun. He was grabbing the masked brother and just waving around going, go to large goal. You could see it in my face. And they're swinging back and forth like he was a doll in his arms. Even the $369,000 man was dancing in the ring as Moose grabbed him from behind and just going like this. I'm sure there's going to be people that's going to be watching this episode of Impact. If they didn't know that Throwback Throwdown 4 existed, they forgot or they've never seen it. And they're going to say, what the fuck am I looking at? But this is what we get. It's what we get. If you don't like it, I can understand. But this is what Impact likes to do yearly. At least they did skip 1 year. Now, let's move on. And Moose did win. But let's move on to the final match, which was supposed to be the Fall Mall tournament. Now, supposedly, this is previous episode. We didn't see it. You had Muscles McGee, who was Christian Cage. Not Christian Cage. Brian Cage, my mistake. Brian Cage, he did do the role twice as Muscles McGee, Brian Cage. But since he's working for AEW, they couldn't bring him back. Probably AEW is not going to allow Brian to work in Impact's funny show. Didn't want to do it. So they had to write him off of the Impact Provincial Wrestling Federation by killing him. Let me say it again. Not write him off by him getting beaten up or was injured. No. He was taken out by Alexin, what was his name for Santino Marella? Alexin, I can't remember his name. Boris Alexin, I believe. Alexis, or no, Alexia, what is it? Alexovich. I think Alexovich. He has the Iron Claw. And supposedly when he was wrestling with Muscles McGee, Brian Cage locked that bitch in and killed him. And Tim Burr, who is playing a Josh Alexander, because he's revising his role as well, wants revenge. And supposedly they're having this Foreman's tournament. I don't know what the tournament was for. It was for something. I don't know what. But he just wanted revenge. He wanted to get back at Boris. So Boris, who's Santino, versus a Josh Alexander, who is Tim Burr. They're in the ring. And you have Colonel Cobb revising his role. And that is a Johnny Bravo. I always love Johnny. No problem with Johnny. It was a funny match. There's no way. At one point, Boris has his fingers completely taped. And Boris, having his fingers completely taped, every time he latches on to do the Iron Claw, he can't let go. Not because he has such a strong grip. It's not because he is an evil bastard. It's not because he's a mixed martial artist. Because it was Skelly Ellie Jr. and IQ saying it 100%. He's a mixed martial artist. I don't think that stuff's going to go anywhere. Prelude to the UFC. That's what it's for, guys. That is what it's for. But it was not that. It was because he grabs on, he has a problem with his hand, and it just doesn't let go immediately. At one point, he got Colonel Cobbs in that grip. Clink. And he's screaming, going... I know it looks stupid, but I have to do it. If you're not going to watch it, you got to understand some of the concepts behind this episode of Impact when it comes to Throwback Throwdown Thursday, which that's what it used to be called. And this is the fourth version of it. You got to understand. Once that claw's on there, you're going to look like that. And I know I'm going to look really bad to everybody, but I had to do it. In the end, Tim Burr wins. But we're not done yet. Now, as the final match is spoken about and the final segments, I have to explain why I was disappointed. Guys, I'm going to tell you truthfully. I've seen this 4 times. The first 3 times were funny as hell. And I'm going like, what the fuck are they doing? But I can't help that it's funny. It's different. They're literally going outside the comfort zone of the regular wrestlers saying, look, we're going to make a fake WWF parody episode. Let's have fun with it. Let's literally do what we normally don't. Look, Gia Miller does not wrestle. I believe her last name is Miller. Gia doesn't wrestle, but she came out four times in 4 years to wrestle. She normally doesn't. Looking sexy as hell with that. I'm not trying to sound sexist, but she wore something that was a thong showing those butt cheeks, baby. I'm sorry. If you don't like how she looks, I can understand. But if you can't see what she looks like, she's a beautiful woman as it is. She has a beautiful voice. She seems very friendly. But look, we rarely see what she looks like. When she's done the last 3 episodes, Throwback Throwdown 1, 2, and 3, we know she's a good-looking woman. This time around, we saw a lot of ass. That was some thickness there. I don't care who she is. She's Canadian. She got some thickness. Maybe I should move to Canada and say, will a nice Canadian woman be with an old man like me? I like to know. If you know a Canadian lady that is not old. I mean, I don't look that bad, but I am old. Tell her to watch me and say hi. But the point is, we see this. We saw Too Large, Moose again reprising his role, doing like this. And enjoying it. Going like this. He was having fun. Everybody who was involved in it was having fun. There's no problem with it. But here's the big disappointment to me. Where's everybody else? That was the problem for me. Where was everyone else? Look, we have Trinity on the roster. Where is she? There was no Trinity. Where's Gazelle Shaw? No Gazelle Shaw. Where is all these other women? Where is MK Ultra? What happened to Marsha Slamovich? What happened to Killer Kelly? Why didn't they show up? Where did they go? Hell, one of my subscribers who loves Johnny Swinger, he's been in all of them but this one. He was not there. I know when he sees Throwback Throwdown, he literally, like 5 or 6 hours ago, left a message on my, I think it was Dynamite or NXT review, asking, am I going to review it? And I told him, yeah, if I'm not feeling too sick, because I'm still on the medication. My body's still kind of messed up. But clearly, guys, he's going to be incredibly disappointed because one of my subscribers loves Johnny Swinger. As I've always said, he's a comedic wrestler. He has his points. On the main roster, he doesn't get seen often. Only if they want to try and job him out to somebody or they want to do a comedic segment. In this situation, this was made for him. This is why he's been there the last 3 years. People love seeing him there. But there was no Johnny Swinger. So we had no Trinity, no Gazelle Shaw, no MK Ultra. We didn't see Courtney Love, and they could have still done it with Courtney. In other words, Rosemary could have come out in this situation. You actually could have done a Rosemary here and show Rosemary on the IPWF as one of those weird wrestlers like an Undertaker or Kamala or someone else. They could have reversed it and let her show up. No. And no, all the other people that could have shown up. We had so few people that even was there. And worse yet, they have not shown. Now, mind you, the countdown, they may do the countdown to Throwback Throwdown 4. And they may finally put it up on the website. They may. They may put it up on YouTube. So maybe they're there. Because there was no way they can fit them all in 2 hours. But honestly, if they're not in any countdown, and this happened, and they're not going to do another if there's another Throwback Throwdown next week, which I doubt it is, there were so many people that should have participated in this. I was looking forward to seeing what Trinity can do in a situation where literally she doesn't have to be Trinity or Naomi. She could be someone entirely different. She could have been Fro Queen, having a huge fro and being a queen. She could have come out in that character and said, I'm Fro Queen, baby. Bitch. She could have done that. We could have seen Gazelle Shaw do something that is outside her character as well. Not to be a man or anything, but to be a different character. She could have been a Barbie as far as I know. She could have played Barbie, a Barbie character. But they weren't there. And if there's no countdown, I feel like this was a disappointment. We had new people on the roster. We have the good hands. They could have done something. Look, you could have done something with the good hands. You could have done something with, where was Bay? Chris Bay wasn't there. You could have done something more with other people that are still supposedly on the damn roster of Impact Wrestling. No. This is where this problem of this type of episode is. If it's not 2 weeks, it's an issue. A one-time, one-off is always a major problem because people want to have more elaboration. And there isn't any here. Unless there is going to be another episode that is the countdown to Throwback Throwdown 4. But if they didn't make it, you'll have to wait until they release it on Impact completely. Or if you're a member, you'll have full access to it. But if you're not a member, you're going to have to wait until they finally decide whenever they do to release it. That's going to be up to them. And that's if they do it. But this is just me. I hope you enjoy this. Please leave a comment below. I'm actually going to... This is going to be late, guys. By the time you see this, this might be up by 1 o'clock. Because after I do this, I'm doing a gut report on Sting. Yes. Because I left it out in Dynamite. I'm doing a Sting gut report right now. I am going to do one right now. Wait. Maybe I shouldn't. Because I'm going to check on the website to see if there's new information about Sting. Yeah, I'll wait until tomorrow. Peace.